Aloha, this is Anna Surfing. Welcome to Beach Broadcast. Today is Monday, August 11th, 2025. Wow, oh wow, oh wow. What a huge Trump press briefing. He did it. Before I get to that, though, I want to thank you very much for joining us on santasurfing.locals.com and on x.com as a subscriber. And I wanted to just say thank you so much for the outpour of support for President Trump all these years. And now we're beginning to see we're down the very, very, very final stretch. It is incredible. Before I get started, I want to go over this Q delta dated for August 11th. When we talk about deltas, we're only talking about the month and the day, not the year. This delta is Q 1846. It's a repost of Q 1845, and it says autists, which are you, the anons, the surfers, autists catch the message. Think missile. Do you believe in coincidences? Q. Now, this is big because of what President Trump and what I'll go through in my podcast today. The message is ginormous, and I don't know if a lot of people caught it, but this is what this Q post says. It has a New York Times article, but it says, boom, what we're going to look for is what matters. Boom, 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 next week, Q. Now, would that be 4 booms or 4 weeks of booms or 4 days of booms? Because between now and Friday, when President Trump meets with President Putin, it's 4 days. Next week, Q, big, big, big drop. I don't know about you, but if you listen to the press briefing from President Trump, and you can see it in the link below the video of this YouTube video, as well as for the Rumble video, it was ginormous. Did we catch the message? I did. I don't know if you did, but I did. And I am just jumping for joy because for me, in my opinion, this is the final stretch. I would almost think, to me, my opinion, and I want to watch the greatness roll out, but in terms of the justice stuff, this is, to me, again, my opinion, the finish line. He has made a huge, massive move that is going to change everything. And in my last podcast, we were talking about exactly this, about the DC takeover, but it's a lot bigger than that. But yes, I also cried because I was overjoyed. But Trump did it. The military is the only way to destroy the crime. And I will even add to that the criminals. Oh my gosh. President Trump on Sunday, let's start with Sunday. President Trump, he's coming in really hot on Sunday. Remember, Trump is exposing dirty DC, Congress people, former presidents, politicians, dirty agency people, dirty justice system, unconstitutional Federal Reserve and IRS. Trump is not just talking about the street thugs as criminals in this post. He is talking about the criminals in general. Listen, let me just go ahead and read this post to you. It is, oh my gosh, it's ginormous. And he knows the anons and surfers were savvy enough to pick up on all those little hidden messages, which I will share all of the different highlights in this podcast. This is what he posted on August 10th. We're having a news conference tomorrow, which was today. I'm going to make our capital safer and more beautiful than it ever was before. The homeless have to move out immediately. We will give you places to stay, but far from the capital. The criminals, you don't have to move out. We're going to put you in jail where you belong. It's all going to happen very fast, just like the border. We went from millions pouring in to 0 in the last few months. This will be easier. Be prepared. There will be no Mr. Nice Guy. We want our capital back. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And he had posted pictures of homeless camps. Now, he is talking a little bit more deeper, and for anons and autists and bakers and, of course, surfers, you all know what he's talking about, right? He's talking about this swamp. Not all of them, but most of the dirty DC swamp. They are swamp nasty varmints, past presidents, past everything that are considered swamp people, that he was addressing them. President Trump, before he had his presser, he goes on with his presser. And again, I'm going to give you the highlights. So you'll have 11 minutes of just bullet points of all the major things he announced. He and his team announced. President Trump, he signed 2 executive orders prior to his press conference. I would like to have you listen to this first before I get to the rest of my podcast, so you get a better understanding of where I'm going with this. Because he had a lot of hidden messages. Some of it was very obvious, but there were a lot of hidden messages. So check this out.
A short while ago in the Oval Office, President Trump signed 2 crucial executive actions to deal with the emergency crime conditions we currently face in the District of Columbia. The first of these was an executive order, as President Trump said before, invoking his powers under Section 40 of the Home Rule Act to take federal control of the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department. Along with that executive order, President Trump signed the statutorily required notification letters to Mayor Bowser and to the relevant House and Senate committee leaders. The second major executive action that President Trump signed was a presidential memorandum directing the Secretary of Defense to utilize the National Guard to address the conditions we see on our streets here in D.C. It also authorized the Secretary of Defense to work with state governors to utilize their National Guard units if necessary as well. These are bold, decisive steps intended to combat the out-of-control crime conditions we've seen on D.C.'s streets for far too long, and I, for one, am deeply proud to be part of an administration that's finally coming to terms with these issues, sir.
Okay, so Will, thank you so much. I love this guy. You know, he's the one that talks about all the different EOs that are signed. First one he was talking about is an executive order on declaring a crime emergency in the District of Columbia. So in this executive order, it talks about the rampant crime that's going on in D.C. And he's talking about federal workers. Okay, federal workers are not just in D.C., but they're everywhere. But he talks about the safety of federal workers. And he's talking about how the federal government demands an effective law enforcement mechanism capable of halting the rise of violent crime, not one that permits government workers to be violently attacked by mobs or fatally shot close to the federal buildings where they work. The magnitude of the violent crime places the D.C. District of Columbia amongst the most violent jurisdictions in the United States. And then it goes through some stats, and he even showed the stats in his presser. So he is saying here, I determined that special conditions of an emergency nature require the use of the Metropolitan Police Department of D.C. for federal purposes, including maintaining law and order in the nation's seat of government, protecting federal buildings, national monuments, and other federal property, and ensuring conditions necessary for the orderly function of the federal government. Again, he is emphasizing D.C., but he's also talking about the federal government. And then he's talking about the Attorney General role and Attorney General's role. And you'll hear in this next clip that I will share with you exactly what she is talking, or what he's talking about, and what she is implying as well. All of a sudden, the DOJ has very, very big responsibility on the law enforcement side, which I'll get to in a moment. So this kind of gives you a summation of what this executive order is all about. The second one was an executive action, and this one applies to the states, not just D.C., but the states. His memorandum he signed, it's massive. Our entire country is under military federal government control, and we, the people, will finally have access to our elected officials. President Trump tells the world he has control. He starts this executive action by he is the President of the United States and Commander-in-Chief of the District of Columbia National Guard. He further emphasizes that we can interact with our elected officials without fear of violence. What it states is, ensure all citizens can avail themselves of the right to interact with our elected representatives, and that the federal government can properly function without the fear of being subjected to violent, menacing street crime. Now, I'm going to stop right here. There's street podcasters that go to D.C. and they go inside and they ask questions, very direct questions. This is one guy, he's a young man, and he goes in there and he's just asking very direct questions. And then he just pretty much gets the cold shoulder from elected officials. And then some of them, they push him away, and then it's like, he just keeps going. All right. So this is going to give we the people rights to go ahead and ask them questions and confront them, right? Because in my humble opinion, and I was telling a friend of mine just this weekend, I said, I just don't trust Congress, but maybe that's the image that needed to be portrayed. Now we're going to start seeing maybe Congress taking action. Again, you decide. But then it says, this has been our constitutional rights all along, but elected officials did not want to be confronted. In fact, and he does talk about this in the full presser. President Trump talks about this. He says the dirty elected officials, which is Nancy Pelosi, rejected the 10,000 National Guard Trump offered on January 6th of 2021. Rather than giving we the people access to the Capitol building, the dirty DC Capitol Police and the dirty FBI agents went on full attack on MAGA to prevent MAGA from entering the Capitol, then blamed MAGA and arrested MAGA for their wrongdoing when they didn't do anything wrong. This thug violence, it ends today. No more. Then it goes on to say, I direct the Secretary Hegseth to mobilize the District of Columbia National Guard and order members to active service, so he's saying military, in such numbers as deems necessary to address the epidemic of crime in our nation's capital. And then he also says here, I direct Secretary of Defense to coordinate with state governors and authorize the orders of any additional members of the National Guard to active service as he deems necessary and appropriate to augment this mission. What he is saying, because in this clip I will share with you in just a few minutes, in this clip, he talks about specifically coordinating with, Hegseth talks about coordinating with the states. And then they always say, if necessary, if we have to deploy the military, if necessary. I don't think we have to. That these words, again, President Trump, he drops the biggest bombs in the, oh, by the way, under his breath comments, right? We all know that. But if you're new to following President Trump and you just stumbled across this podcast, that's what he's talking about. He is saying the bigger things under his breath. And then he threw out a few comms. But let me go ahead and play this clip for you. Oh my gosh, this is what we've been waiting for. And who knew that not just taking over DC, but he is taking over all of America by rolling out the National Guard, rolling out the military. And if he has to, again, in order for members to active service. So he's ordering certain people to National Guard that may have been retired back to service, or maybe he's doing it to the military, saying, hey, can you come back, the reservists, and get out there because we got some work to do. He's cleaning up our streets. Remember, under Nassara and Jassara, there will be no big crimes. There will be still petty crimes, but not that big, massive crimes. And President Trump is rolling it out right now. Oh, it's so beautiful what's happening. Now listen to the clip. Check this out.
And worse. This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back under the authorities vested in me as the President of the United States. I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. You know what that is? And placing the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal control, and you'll be meeting the people that will be directly involved with that. Very good people, but they're tough, and they know what's happening. They've done it before. In addition, I'm deploying the National Guard to help reestablish law, order, and public safety in Washington, D.C., and they're going to be allowed to do their job properly. And you people are victims of it, too. You know, you're reporters, and I understand a lot of you tend to be on the liberal side, but you don't want to get mugged and raped and shot and killed. And you all know people and friends of yours that happened. And so you can be anything you want, but you want to have safety in the streets. You want to be able to leave your apartment or your house where you live and feel safe and go into a store to buy a newspaper or buy something. And you don't have that, really. It's a threat to our country. We have other cities also that are bad, very bad. You look at Chicago, how bad it is. You look at Los Angeles, how bad it is. We have other cities that are very bad. New York has a problem. And then you have, of course, Baltimore and Oakland. We don't even mention that anymore. They're so far gone. We're not going to let it happen. We're not going to lose our cities over this. And this will go further. We're starting very strongly with DC, and we're going to clean it up real quick, very quickly, as they say, back long, because I've instructed them and told them whatever happens, they love to spit in the face of the police. As the police are standing up there in uniform, they're standing and they're screaming at them an inch away from their face, and then they start spitting in their face. And I said, you tell them, you spit and we hit. His local leadership, the radical left city council, adopted no cash bail. By the way, every place in the country where you have no cash bail is a disaster. That's what started the problem in New York, and they don't change it. They don't want to change it. That's what started it in Chicago. I mean, bad politicians started it, bad leadership started it, but that was the one thing that's central, no cash bail. Somebody murders somebody and they're out on no cash bail before the day is out. We're going to end that in Chicago. We're going to change the statute. I spoke with Pam and Todd and everybody. We're going to change the statute, and I'm going to have to get the Republicans to vote because the Democrats are weak on crime, totally weak on. But we're going to change no cash bail. We're going to change the statute and get rid of some of the other things, and we'll count on the Republicans in Congress and Senate to vote. We have the majority, so we'll vote. We don't have a big majority, but we've gotten everything, including the great, big, beautiful bill. We only have 30 policemen or women. He said, we have 3,500. We need more. You don't need more. That's so many. I never heard. That's like an army. How could you need more than 3,000? It just happened 2 minutes ago. Sir, they've requested more police. Oh, what do they have? About 3,500. I said, 3,500? This is not a big area. They said, there's nothing you can do. Kamala was the border czar. She never called one of the Border Patrol agents who are great. ICE is great. Never spoke to anybody. Never went there. But she was the border czar. And everybody said it was impossible to fix. I fixed it in 3 months. No, really. I fixed it the first week, but really fixed it over the last couple of months. And I mean, literally to a point where, as I said, 0 illegals entering our country in the last 90 days. The U.S. Marshal Service, Secret Service, Department of Homeland Security, they got some police, but they're rough police. And they do their job. They don't have crime. We're not going to have crime either. They made dozens of arrests, and that's what starts to happen. Again, cashless bail. Watch what we do with that emergency. And it's embarrassing for me to be up here. I'm going to see Putin. I'm going to Russia on Friday. Attorney General Pam Bondi, who's fantastic, is taking command of the Metropolitan Police Department as of this moment. To the mayor, our new DEA administrator, who's one of the top in the country. He better be Terry. If you're not, I'm going to get rid of you so fast. Terry Cole. Terry, thanks. Very good. We just got him. Most highly recommended person. And you'll be designated as the interim federal commissioner of the Metropolitan Police Department. Okay? And you run them tough. They're good. You have a lot of good people. You have people that shouldn't be there. You also have people that shouldn't be there. They got in there because of woke. But you have a lot of great police. And those people are the ones that want to help you. This city will no longer be a sanctuary for illegal alien criminals. We will have full, seamless, integrated cooperation at all levels of law enforcement. And we'll deploy officers across the district with an overwhelming presence. You'll have more police, and you'll be so happy because you'll be safe. When you walk down the street, you're going to see police, or you're going to see FBI agents. We're going to have a lot of agents on the street. You're going to have a lot of essentially military, and we will bring in the military if it's needed, by the way. We're going to have National Guard. But Pete Hegseth will tell you about it. We will bring in the military if needed. People say, "Oh, that's so terrible. He's going to bring in." It's been used many times over the years. I don't think we'll need it. I think we've got so many great people, including the people that are in the police department with proper leadership.
They're excited about the announcement you're making today.
Thank you. Very good. Great job you're doing. Thank you very much. Pete, could you say something about the military, if you would?
Well, Mr. President, it's an honor to be here. And at your direction this morning, we've mobilized the DC National Guard. It'll be operationalized by the Secretary of the Army, Dan Driscoll, through the DC Guard. You will see them flowing into the streets of Washington in the coming week. At your direction as well, sir, there are other units we are prepared to bring in. Other National Guard units, other specialized units. They will be strong, they will be tough, and they will stand with their law enforcement partners. This is nothing new for DOD. As the President noted, at the border, we've got 10,000 troops down there who've been operating in defense cooperation areas, defense zones, where there's zero illegal crossings because of troops on strikers scanning the border. We've been protecting other people's borders for 20 years. It's about time we protect our own. And we're working with ICE and CBP. In Los Angeles, we did the same thing, working with the California National Guard, working with ICE officers. ICE officers deserve to do their job and not be attacked. We will work alongside all DC police and federal law enforcement to ensure this city is safe, this city is beautiful. And as I always say about President Trump to the troops, he has their back. And my message to the National Guard and federal law enforcement in Washington is, we have your back as well. Be tough, be strong, we're right behind you. Thank you, Mr. President.
I'm going to ask Pam, because she's now, as you heard me say, she's really in charge of a lot of what we're talking about. She's done an incredible job. People are going to start to see the fruits of her labor. And Pam, maybe you could say a few words about what we're talking about here.
Sure, President. Let me be crystal clear. Crime in D.C. is ending and ending today. We are going to use every power we have to fight criminals here. President, thank you for caring about our capital. Families come here every summer. Our museums are free. We have the National Zoo. We have the National Gallery. D.C. should be a place where everyone can come and feel safe. Behind me and to my side, we have some of the best career law enforcement and prosecutors in the country who are ready to take this on. As the President said, Terry Cole is going to be supervising the Metro Police Department. Gadi Serralta, our U.S. Marshal, is going to be supervising command and control, the entire operation. Our Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, and I will be working with them closely, along with our great FBI Director, Kash Patel. Kash is going to talk to you in a minute about what we did in Virginia recently with Governor Youngkin. Many of you covered that, and it was tremendously successful. Not only that, our secret weapon here in D.C. is U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro, one of the toughest prosecutors and a former judge. And she is going to be talking about juvenile crime, how it's out of control here, and what she's going to do to fight back. No more crime rampant in our beautiful capital. No more teenage girls beating a disabled man to death. No more of that. No more drive-bys. We're going to do everything we can. And working with the ATF Director Driscoll and Commander of the Army, we're going to all work together. That's what we all do in this room. We work together, we fight. Do not underestimate one person in this room. We're going to make DC beautiful. We're going to make DC.
When you work with our Homeland Security Task Force, when you work with Terry and Gadi and I go way back to Miami, these guys are great leaders of the respective departments and law enforcement capacities. And when you have the DOJ and President Trump driving behind this mission, we are going to clean up Washington, D.C., and we're going to do it the right way, the lawful way, and we're going to make sure Washington, D.C. is safe again. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Attorney General.
Thank you very much. Good job.
Brian Schwab. I did a poster of the young man from Doge who was beaten bloody with a severe concussion, a broken nose. And then I did a poster of what happens to those kids, because I can't arrest them, I can't prosecute them. They go to family court and they get to do yoga and arts and crafts. Enough. It changes today. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Cash. So The process begins right now. It actually started over the weekend, and we confronted a lot of very bad people. But it's going to be something that will be pretty amazing to you as you watch it. Seconds on what she has in mind, what she wants to do. We're going to be appointing some judges. You know, we have some open spots, and we're going to take people because the judges are letting killers out. They just say, go, that's okay, don't worry about it. So we're putting some Pam recommend. Brian, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. All right.
And by the way, this is only on DC, and then they're going to leave because it's unfair to have them stand up here all day long. Brian.
I've got two questions for you. First, about DC. This is personal for me as well. Last year, I was robbed on the streets by one of these teenage thugs. Had a gun, got away with it. Let's talk about the effort that between law enforcement, prosecutors, and judges, because it's a recycling belt. Like, these kids go, they don't fear the police. They know it. If you talk about how we've got to get these judges and put these kids behind bars,
Right.
Adult crimes deserve adult penalties. And my second question, I'll after you answer that, please.
Do you want me to answer?
Or whoever wants to take it.
Okay, it's real. Do you want me to answer it? Here's the problem. Assuming that they're 17 years, older than 17 years old, I can get the case. If they're under 18 years of age, I can only get the case if it's murder, rob one, rape, or even if they shoot a gun but don't kill you, I can't get it. So the law has to be changed. As the president said, cashless bail. That has to be changed. All right, then even assuming I get the case, I get jurisdiction, I get a conviction, the DC Council has given the judges the ability to give probation on shootings. And so then it's up to them. All of these things, the Youth Rehabilitation Incarceration Reduction Act, and now they want to seal records. So if we work hard, we get a conviction, they want to wipe it out. So that needs to answer that also.
Yeah, and just back to that topic. Let's be clear, though. We're going to charge them, and we're going to track every single thing they do throughout every step of the court process and report back to you and let all of you know what's happening to them. Because the people who are prosecuting them, the judges who are trying them, they also need to be held accountable.
We're going to have a great success. As far as this, what we did today, and I think you were here for DC more so than even Russia, because Russia will be, you know, we have a couple of days to go, but the Russia is going to be very interesting. But to me, what is very exciting, and we're going to take back our capital. We're going to make it beautiful again, but we're going to make it, more importantly, safe again. It's going to be so safe. It's going to be a model. And then we'll look at other cities also. But other cities are studying what we're doing. And you have some capable people in other cities. They can do it too. But we have a great group of professionals. We're going to have a safe, beautiful capital, and it's going to happen very quickly.
Listening to that again. Really, truly, these are happy tears that we should be experiencing right now. Many of you have tried to fight maybe a situation in court and lost because there was a dirty judge, right? Many of you got beaten up by some thug and you got lost in court in a criminal case, or maybe the dingbat darn dirty, woke government that you live in didn't want to take any action. Many of you have reported crimes of hate and crimes of, it could have been against the elderly, and nothing ever happened. And now all of a sudden we have President Trump, who's got our backs. And he is saying, that's all going to change. We are going to be under a judicial system that follows the law. And even Pam Bondi is saying the same thing. I know a lot of you don't have any trust in her. What President Trump did say is that you'll see a lot of things coming from her. And so did she have to hold back? Did she have to look a little bit like a wishy-washy in the beginning? And now she's going to start really going for it. Kash Patel, the same thing. Is he going to start going for it? Now they can, because the military is in control. And this is what we have waited for such a long time. And what's interesting is this post that President Trump posted on Sunday night about the criminals You don't have to move out when he's talking about DC. We're going to put you in jail where you belong. It's going to happen very fast. That was posted at 11:03 a.m. Remember what Q says? And I'll even point it out about the military. The only way 11:03 is our marker. It's Q26, and we get a lot of 26 comms from Dan Scavino, President Trump. Think about it logically. The only way is the military, fully controlled, save and spread. Once 11.3 verifies as first marker, biggest advance drop on the board. Now, 11.3 could refer to the November 3rd, 2020 election. 11.3 could refer to the Department of Defense Law of War Manual, Chapter 11, Section 3, 11.3. 11.3 refers to many things. Again, there's not one correct answer, but this one here, when President Trump posted that at 11:03, I thought, that's got to be the marker. And then he rolls this out. So I thought DC was going to get taken over, and it was only going to be DC. I had no idea it was going to roll out into other nations, and how Pete Hegseth is going to work with other states, and if necessary, roll out the military, the National Guard, to the other states, and how Janine Pirro and Pam Bondi made it very, very clear that the justice system is going to change. The judges and the dirty prosecutors that are weak, let's just say they don't really prosecute, and the dirty judges, that's got to change. So these changes are now going to be in effect. But why is this all happening now? Think of the justice system. Think of what Congress has to do and the laws they will start abiding to, which is the federal laws. We talked about this in the last couple of podcasts. These are the upcoming hearings. One starts in 7 days with Bill Barr, and he just got exposed by Project Veritas about some nasty stuff. But there's Bill Barr, and there's a list of other people, but the swamp people are coming up too. Bob Mueller, which I don't know if he's going to go because he's got dementia or some kind of thing going on. Loretta Lynch, Eric Holder, Merrick Garland, James Comey, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, and who else, right? Well, that will be on my next podcast, because there's some investigations going on with some of the dirty, nastiest swamp people, and I think you guys will be jumping for joy. Think about those cases. Think about everything else, all of the other people that have all these pending investigations, how it's going to have a huge impact. And why does the military need to be deployed? Is there going to be something that's going to break that will make the freaking left people go just crazy, right? They will be screaming about the liberals, how they are going to go crazy in their heads, right? They will be screaming. If you see a person on the side of a grocery store just wailing because their favorite criminal, dirty politician just got indicted, right? What kind of big news is coming? We know it's going to come, but President Trump, again, he's working backwards, got to set the foundation in place in order for anything to start rolling out justice-wise. So now that DC is federalized, it's now under military control. It will change just about everything, not just in DC, but all around the country. Now, remember, if you're listening from a different country, remember, America has to get taken first before we could start rolling it out into your nations, right? Dirty politicians have controlled us, kept us in slavery, lied to us, siphoned our tax dollars to go ahead and enrich their own lives, while many tax-paying Americans live on the streets or on someone's sofa or living paycheck to paycheck and barely making ends meet. Now President Trump is saying no more. He's housing homeless people and taking them off the streets. No more suffering for the American people. That's his point. President Trump ordered the National Guard military to get the justice system under federal jurisdiction, and to right before the hearings begin. And even will it also include our financial structure, right? Dan Scavino posted this on August 8th, which is just 3 days ago. Abolish the IRS. This is the event. These are the events that happen on August 8th. Early in the day, IRS commissioner gets the boot. Scott Bessent is then selected by President Trump to be the acting IRS commissioner, and a few hours after that all happened, Dan Scavino posted the Abolish the IRS. I will get into that in my future podcast. So I'm going to try to do a second one today. I don't know if I will, but I will be getting that done in my future podcast, because that one is very big in itself, and I'll show you some Congress documents and stuff like that. But we are beginning to see the old guard, and Q said this, right? It's a July 24th marker, Delta. You are watching the systematic destruction of the old guard. power will return to the people. And that's what we're going through right now. And President Trump, he just delivered one of the biggest Christmas gifts one can ever imagine, when we're living in a country full of tyranny and just a corrupt government and corrupt everything. And he brings in a team, and in 6 months, he is cleaning things up so quickly. And I want to say thank you so much, President Trump, for bringing Christmas in August. It really is Christmas in August. Now we begin to see it roll out. He is hinting 90 days, 3 months. So he says things could happen quickly, or within a week, or within 2 weeks. But he is talking more about 90 days. So it took him, he's hinting about 90 days. So we're going to see those things unfold. And I'll share other kinds of things that would be also happening around that 90th day time frame, which is really big. But thank you so much for hanging in there and for standing in this fight together, guys. Oh, you are such a blessing. Really, truly all a blessing. Who would have known that a bunch of crayon-eating Pepe Frog surfers are the ones that are taking down the entire dirty world and bringing in the beautiful new world. God bless you abundantly. Have a very Merry Christmas Day, and I will have a show tomorrow. Aloha.